this is the most adorable meme in the whole world. And if you don't know what this is, I cry deep down inside. Okay, good. It's the younger people who I'm like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, no.
Wait, I don't know. Am I young?
Marge, you're too young and hip for this class.
There is a question open. Two things. We have a field trip today if you'd like to go. It's the hydroelectric project in Monroe. We have plenty of spots left in vans. So if you really want to go, you should go. If you're interested in ecology, environmental science, energy, any of that, it's kind of a really neat where you can see kind of what they're doing, the restoration, how the environment works.
That's fine, but
if you are interested in or looking for internships and jobs, let's talk about jobs for a minute. After I sneeze. Hold on.
Bless you.
I was like, it's coming, okay. So, as you are aware, science jobs are becoming more difficult to get. Environmental science jobs are going to become more difficult to get for the next few years. Places in our area, if you work for some of the governmental organizations and things like that, like the PUD, those internships and those jobs are still going to be available. The PUD hires preferentially our students, okay? So they really like Everett Community College students. They like people from their community for internships, etc. So, and they pay really, really well, okay? Government jobs are fabulous for benefits, okay? PUD is an awesome organization to work for. So if you are thinking about you want to do restoration, ecology, forestry, anything in those lines, this is one of those things you should be attending because getting your foot in the door somewhere is what you really need to do. And so like going there and being like, I've had probably, we do this field trip usually every other year, just so we can capture everybody who wants to go to college at any time. Almost every year, probably 2 to 4 people get hired from the PUD and for internships or so forth. So come get that done. So like if you are interested, today at 2:30 we are leaving right outside the side of the building. We're probably going to be gone about 3 hours and be back here by 5:30. Okay? Likewise, in 2 weeks, we have NanoStream is a field trip. Okay? It's on Friday. Friday the 9th. Same thing. If you are interested in biotech, or you want to work in biotech or pharmaceuticals, they hire our students, like legitimately. NanoStream does right outside of you completing this sequence. If you're done with this sequence, they will hire you. They don't even need you to have a bachelor's degree. They'll train you up, and you make really good money at NanoStream. Okay, so network. So if those sound interesting to you, you should go. Okay? This has been asked of me like 6 times already. When is the exam going to be graded? What am I doing over the next week?
Field trips?
With who? When am I going to have time to grade anything? No, exactly. Don't expect it anytime soon, okay? As soon as Melissa is done taking her exam here in a minute, she's taking it like right now, I will post an answer key. Look at that. Kind of grade yourself. Otherwise, I'll go with the stair method. Did anyone know what the stair method of grading is? I walk up to the top of the stairs and I throw them down the stairs. Whoever gets the furthest gets an A. Okay, so we can do that too. Like, something is going to happen. Otherwise, it's not getting graded for a while. All right. Stair method. Hyper and hypotonic solutions. Draw cells. This was on the exam.
I feel like I'm
No, it's literally just have it. We have one. What is it? That's why I put enough like
If you're in a hypertonic tonic. What does that mean? More salt on the outside or inside? More salt on the outside.
Outside.
Therefore, water will leave. The cell will get smaller. Hypotonic, the cell will get bigger. Iso means same size. Okay, so if your patient is slightly dehydrated, what concentration of saline are you going to put in? Slightly dehydrated.
Hypo.
Talk to each other. What type?
How much saline?
Which type?
Which type? Probably like mostly water.
So, hypotonic.
I mean, if they're dehydrated.
All right, slightly dehydrated. What are we going to do? Iso to slightly hypo. If you give them hypertonic, what's going to happen? They're going to dehydrate even more. If you give them too hypotonic of a solution, what happens to cells? They burst. So you want to be slightly more to the isotonic side. You want to make just more equal balance. Okay? All right, so talk to each other. What is in blood? What makes up blood? What is the composition of blood?
I think one of them is like red blood cells. Any others?
Well, actually, I was like the score guess yesterday after we took it. I'm gonna pick out that score.
All right. What makes up blood?
Red blood cells?
Red blood cells. Excellent. We have red blood cells. What do red blood cells do?
Oxygen.
Carry oxygen. Excellent. What else do we have?
White blood cells.
White blood cells. What do they do?
Immunization.
Excellent. What else do we got? Platelets. What do platelets do? Clot. Excellent. They clot. You cut yourself. Platelets are what clot. It's a clotting mechanism. Sarah does not clot. What's a possible explanation? Low platelet count. Okay? Possibly anemia. What else do we got? Plasma. Excellent. What does plasma do?
Doesn't it have like proteins?
Okay, it's proteins in it. What else does it have in it? What your cells need to live? Glucose. Excellent. We have sugar in it. We have proteins. We have solutes. Okay. I don't know. What else do we have? We had this is plasma.
We already said plasma.
We have hematocrit, right? That makes up all of your plasma, so forth. We're forgetting one of the most important things in blood. Water. Excellent. We have water.
Isn't that in plasma?
Sort of, but you're not looking at components of it. It's definitely just water. So, we're going to ignore this question. I just like the slide. This is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin attaches oxygen molecules to a heme complex, which is bound by proteins. If we look at the structure of hemoglobin, what do the different colors represent?
Different polypeptides.
Different polypeptides. How many subunits do we have here?
4 subunits.
4 subunits. Excellent. Each hemoglobin component has 4 subunits. It comes together to form 8 within there. All right. 10 seconds. What I should do is turn this to many choices. What structural level is this?
Tertiary.
Secondary.
No, it's secondary. Nice job. It's secondary, so therefore it is hydrogen.
Hydrogen bonding.
Dude!
Yes.
What is primary structure?
NCC.
NCC. What is secondary structure? Hydrogen bonding
H
between the
bonding.
alpha helices and beta sheets. Tertiary structure is
R groups.
R group interactions. Quaternary structure is?
Multiple polypeptides.
There we go. Look at what you guys learned.
I was thinking food right away. Let's hope.
So, oxygen binds to hemoglobin. The hemoglobin gives up oxygen to the tissues. It goes from source to sink. This is going to be a common trend when we even do plant physiology. Source of something, sink of it is what takes it. Okay? So in plants, the source of sugars is leaves. The sink is the roots. Okay? In oxygen in our body, the source is the environment. The sink is going to be your tissue. It's going to be the mitochondria. Very little of your oxygen actually ever leaves to the tissues. Okay? Majority stays on the heme complexes. The more it gives up, the less likely it wants to give up in the future. Okay? Remember that curve. So we can shift it and change, but it really wants to stay on there. All right, Dr. Jerry.
I put maintain the blood's osmotic pressure.
He's gonna be like, so you guys. We're all in here. You guys put an egg and get out.
Not sure if that's right.
If you have a low amount of proteins and plasma in your blood, what's going to happen? Your pressure is going to lower.
Drop.
We're going to maintain osmotic pressure. What is blood pressure? Pressure of the arteries during what two events? Pumping and resting. Excellent. The contraction of the ventricles and the relaxation of the ventricles. So if it's 120 over 80, 120 is when the ventricle is contracting, 80 is when everything is relaxed. If you have low osmotic pressure, your blood pressure is going to be too low. So if Sarah has low plasma levels, what's likely going to happen to her blood pressure? It's going to be low. What are some consequences of low blood pressure? Talk to each other. This is also, I think, an exact question from the exam. I think I can use Sarah.
Consequences of low blood pressure.
Becky, why do you get so much money for donating plasma
She
then?
just asked the same question. I actually don't know.
Oh. Huh.
That's why we have the power of the internet.
Who wants to go donate plasma?
Honestly,
You should.
they pay you money. So,
All right. What are 3 consequences of too low blood pressure? You could. But let's take that one off the table. Would things filter correctly? No.
No.
All right, so things won't filter correctly. What else?
The oxygen will get to.
Yeah, we're not going to pump as much oxygen around. We're not going to move it from source to sink. Right? So what will be the energy levels of Sarah? Low.
Low.
Anemic is going to be more tired. Not going to have the same amount of responses, reflexes. Everything's going to be slow. What else?
Weak. What would be?
Well, weak. Slow, weak.
Mhm.
Could have a stroke. You could get blood pooling. Excellent.
Mhm.
That is a problem.
Antibodies don't get moved around the body as well?
Antibodies don't get moved, then you'll get moved. Okay, 10 seconds. I'll give you a hint. 2 of them are incorrect.
You are correct.
And very few people actually got this correct. Why is Buffy the Vampire Slayer? This is also a play on words.
What?
Why is Buffy the Vampire Slayer? That's the immune system. Buffy.
The Buffy code.
And plasma.
Oh,
Erythrocytes was in your urine.
Mhm.
Hematocrit is the concentrations of things. So
Mhm.
it's Buffy and plasma. Okay, Dr.
I got decrease. Oh. Oh, right, because ADH absorbs water.
Alright, what is ADH?
Antidiuretic.
Antidiuretic hormone. Therefore, if you have more ADH, you're going to absorb more water. Therefore, it's going to
Increase blood volume. Okay, yeah, it was a misconception on my part.
You decide to go out drinking. And you decide to be really foolish and take Tylenol while out drinking. Or if you're sick, you take a whole bunch of NyQuil, which has both alcohol and Tylenol in it. All right, what are the consequences of that? So talk, sure.
I guess one of them is you fainting. That's for sure. You fainting and then waking up a little better.
All right, alcohol will do what to your blood volume? It'll dehydrate you. Excellent. What does Tylenol do to your blood? It dehydrates and thins your blood.
Dehydrates and thins your blood.
All right. So now, not only are we dehydrated, but we've thinned our blood. What are some consequences of that? Low blood pressure. What else? You don't feel good, fatigued. You can bruise easily, and you will suffer from bleeding. Okay? Typically, nosebleeds would be a consequence of that. Okay? All right. Jane's 21st birthday is tomorrow. She's going to Vegas. All right. What do we got to do to maintain we're not going to suffer any bodily consequences? Yes, she's going to drink a bunch. Okay. What do we got to do?
Lots of water.
Hydrate.
Drink some water.
Excellent.
Drink more
What
water.
else? Eat. What are we not going to do?
Take
Tylenol.
Tylenol.
Okay, we were realistic in here. No, we want to not have a hangover. What's a hangover? Physiologically, what's a hangover? So talk to Sher. What is a hangover?
I'm guessing your body is trying to rehydrate itself.
Physiologically, what is a hangover? Dehydration. Why does wine give you a really nasty hangover?
It dehydrates you.
You're dehydrated plus sugar is too high. So your body wants to go through glycolysis. What are the steps of glycolysis in Krebs? What do I need?
ATP.
Water.
Water.
And I'm low on water. So we're going to have glycolysis is going to have byproducts. We're going to have more lactic acid. We're going to have other components. So you're going to have a buildup of sugar as well as low water. Okay. So the most valuable thing you're learning as you go out to university is every time you have a drink, you drink
Water.
water on top of that.
What if you take antidiuretics before you go drinking?
How about not?
No. No anti-diuretics.
All right. We looked at these O2 saturation curves. What happens when I exercise? What happens to my blood pH? Goes up or down?
Down.
Goes down. My blood becomes more acidic, therefore the pH goes down. As it goes down, the hemoglobin is going to get an oxygen shift, and we're going to release more oxygen. Why is that important when you're exercising?
Because tissue needs oxygen.
Tissues need oxygen. More oxygen being expended, more oxygen needed. So here's an extreme exaggeration of the curves. So from super basic to super acidic, your body will never, on a global level, experience this, okay? Now, in tissues, pH changes can be quite dramatic because we're talking very small quantities of fluid. So we could get a very severe change. But this is not going to be your aorta or anything like that. But you can see how this pressure curve would change. Regulation of iron metabolism. You need iron, okay? Iron is going to be used in the heme complex. We're going to manufacture most of our red blood cells, so forth, in our bones. We're going to do a lot of processing within the liver. And we're going to try to remove the stuff, but also retain the iron, because iron is a valuable quantity. So if you eat, for instance, some iron, we're going to uptake it in the intestinal tract. Very little iron that you actually eat gets uptaken, okay? Very little of any macromolecules or even minerals that you eat actually gets retained. Most of that actually goes through and becomes fecal matter. But those that do gets processed, sent off, and converted into heme complexes. If you are suffering from hepatic or liver disease, you're not gonna be able to retain as much iron, and you're gonna become anemic. Okay.
Is that most of it for drinking? Because
That or hepatitis, things like that. So any yes, more work.
Don't? Okay, what color?
Oh yeah, you're not gonna be able to.
Yeah, they're like. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Unless you guys. Okay, well, we can talk. Yeah, we're leaving here at 2:30. Yeah, let me double check what time we're leaving. It might be like 12:30.
Those biscuits are. You could have done it. Doesn't it bind as hemoglobin? Doesn't it hemoglobin?
Oh, yeah. The real question is,
I'm pretty sure I got that.
why is there yellow in the
Red blood cells are specialized for transporting oxygen. Where exactly does O2 bind when it is transported by red blood cells?
I don't remember. Oh, I didn't know. I just put like comforted sodium Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's probably what it
Well, then it wasn't round. It says like
describe. Yeah, or the way it starts.
or how it works or something. So I just threw an error out. Yeah, I threw an error out.
I kind of learned it. Yeah.
Today? Not really. We're not meals. And that will have a lot of. No.
I don't think so. I think that we should wear like stilettos.
You know what? You definitely should.
I should?
What?
I should totally. Yeah, it's on my backpack. I'll show up and like that. I went like 90 kills. And then my friends told me to start doing track, and I'm like out of my mind. I was like, okay. So
I'm bringing the ton of snacks and all that stuff too, so.
it was during like swim season too, so I went to swim the next.
You are doing a picnic, so you're bringing it back.
I
And
did
then
a
you
song
just
for
go out
your
to
band.
dinners and you just go find your own thing. Credit card revenue.
Yeah, it's Saturday.
So I decided to wake up at like 5:30. No, I'll probably wake up. I gotta wake up at like 5:30.
Our team had an NBC. Yeah. There was only 3 people at our table last week.
So what, exactly?
Yeah.
So much money on this
Also, who's in the morning session? Who took her spot? Who's on the spot? Yeah.
Really?
I'm just trying to get all her up. I can't track working out. I am trying to think who's in your tomorrow. Who's gonna be your pair? Top for it. Like she was like, honestly, like we all have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You're losing your partner. Yeah. This is a good one. I like this one.
It says that like this feature so that it'll go back. Yeah.
Schedule literally has all of the meetings and everything, all of your sheets.
Yeah, but that's a lot of.
It's a one-page document that you can print.
You have such high expectations there. I don't do that.
I have no high expectations.
That's pretty high expect me to read a page.
Having any expectation is too high.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Our fans. Jack, myself, Mark.
If someone crashes,
If someone were to hypothetically crashes the band, that's called baseball.
Oh, is it Yeah. Not bad.
About 3 out of 4 years we see workers.
I saw one time when I
Did see him.
I don't think I've ever seen an orca.
Every year we've seen that.
Oh, I've seen that.
Every year we've seen dolphins.
Oh. Yeah.
Transients are. Our ones here are retarded, they're stupid. They're so damn inbred. That's the truth. You want to know the nasty secret about our whales? They're not actually invasive. And we should
Yeah.
Do you know why? They are stupid. They're inbred. They're so inbred. They are stupid. And they're stupid because they'll eat one goddamn day. So are the other workers that are stupid.
But they're like our orcas.
And our workers are like super docile and like don't do anything. You know, like our pandas, we should let pandas go too. I know why pandas are so cute. Because we inbred the shit.
I love like videos like that one, like zoo.
Huh? I use a white
So, that is the truth about it. That is probably a very unpopular opinion, actually. That's the type of opinion that really counts, even though it is factually accurate.
I don't even have Twitter.
I think if you go on Twitter, you're gonna get canceled. There's some people who support me, there's some people who don't. And some people just out there breathing. We should like try to do this station, like we should positive. But at the same time, there is subpopulation. Workers themselves are a very stable, big population. Smart. They're ambitious.
Water's that doesn't make it less scary.
So every year we do a sacrifice. I think we know getting sacrifice.
Me? For what? It won't work, she can swim. Yeah. Yeah, I cannot swim fast. My fish
She likes the Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games. Dude. We're gonna pull everyone. That'd be so funny. And even after that, you're not
Wish I didn't sign up to work.
I'm a very bad influence, so.
I would love to. I'll get one today.
You can say you have a doctor's note. They don't have to say what kind of doctor.
I received a note from a doctor.
That's all you say is I have a doctor's note.
I actually really do want to get a melanoma, and I'm trying to think of an excuse on how I can get out of this Friday.
Is it like slabs?
And the pictures don't show up on your computer, but they show up on the
Okay. I didn't sign up.
Yeah. Canvas doesn't like Safari.
Bless you.
They might change because it's different. Every time you open it, it pulls from a large test
How did you get it out?
I forget to check.
Was it like hanging off?
It says,
Yeah, it does.
I've hit it before. I've hit it the vending machine. The stuff gets stuck in it all the time.
That thing, I'm telling you, every day, I think I've beat up so many times. I have shook it in before.
It has some trouble.
But, and I also understand why vending machines kill a lot of people. Way more than sharks. Not even-
That means don't get any stuff
Vending
from
machines
them.
way more than sharks?
Oh yeah, sharks kill very few people.
Oh, I think you said way more.
Oh no. Vending machines kill way more people than sharks.
Yeah.
Sharks are brave.
And this vending machine will kill somebody because the shape helps
Kill more people than sharks.
That is true. I wouldn't even say novels are very like top 5 favorite. They're really cute. Otters are really but a nudibranch. Okay, like nudibranchs. Like just for the jokes and the t-shirts alone for nudibranchs, I have t-shirts. I am a scientist, okay? It's funny. What? It's funny.
Like 35.
The same t-shirt.
Stupid t-shirts have a dress though. Like I used to have one that says the dragon with prostitutes who That's so funny. Dude,
No, that's not funny. send nudes with the nudibranch is funny. What you just said is not funny.
That's so funny, dude. Most of me has some of the best t-shirts ever.
Well, maybe, yeah.
I found that in 6th grade. I don't know. When I hit 9th grade, I brought it back. The things I will still wear to this day. I don't remember 9th grade because I couldn't write to school.
So we're gonna tell a story. So UW's a very unique story. It was founded by Nike. Okay, so up on the same line we have monuments dedicated to themselves. Part of our lives. This monument is Colossus. It's quite big. Okay.
I know what?
And it's a crown with a Knights Templar table, all made out of granite. Okay, and if we have enough time, we go there. And what we do is we sacrifice the students. So you put them on the pedestal of sacrifice, and we just, it'll be definitely. It's definitely.
Out of all your 3 classes, I'm the
Yes.
one that you would pick.
Isn't that amazing? Out of the 65 students who get sacrifice.
But at least you'll be sacrificed at the UW 95.
Yeah, don't worry.
And then you'll understand why the whole world thinks UW is safe. And like this evil organization is literally.
I'm a Zelda sword that brings out.
There we go.
Dude,
She's gonna bring
it's
her own.
literally a Zelda sword. You guys should- I love Zelda so much.
Yeah. I don't know. If you actually look at it, it's a real cool facility. Yeah. Anyways, it's kind of funny.
Oh my god, we're still here today.
And then we'll dump your body at
As long as she could make me into a statue, I would.
Dude, you know how many rich ass people live there? Like within a couple of miles of the labs. It's insane.
Can we go visit random rich people?
Can we go into the pool?
Can we trespass, Ricky?
Yeah.
I think that they would let me swim there for sure. Like,
Is it like 100%?
Can I swim in the pool?
I'll teach you how to do breaststroke.
I know what you're talking about.
Which is like fully on the gate.
Oh, it's complicated. Well, I thought it was. Oh, wait.
Or no, it's like talking about. Anyone have to explain
I'm gonna say about
So, is O2 saturation the amount of hemoglobin that's carrying oxygen, or the amount of heme groups that contain oxygen?
Amount of oxygen.
it like decreases after you visit. But the next couple of days, you don't adjust. I don't like
It's gonna be 5 from the first one and then 4 to 6.
So scary. It's not even. Dude, one time I really started crying in Mary's whirlpool because I had to swim the 500. And I love the 500. Dude, I went to districts junior year for that. This year though, I went out of the 200. I had to do the 100 fly in this year, bruh. I wanted to kill myself. I hated my
One of
code.
my best friends is like a 500 swimmer, and I don't understand it. I don't get it. Like,
It's so embarrassing though, because like, you're just for like 6 minutes, right? And then like, people have to watch you.
yeah, I read distance tracks, so it's like the same thing. Like going around.
At least I can hear what people are saying, except for when I'm reading.
I'm guessing you live at high altitude. Yeah, well, if you do National Institute of
Are you going to leave the National Institute for Health?
Whoever that
No, yeah, there's no. That's fine. Wait, 30? Wait, I was like, wait, so the percentage, sorry, over 10, down to like.
Reduced oxygen level. Change your answer to number 5%.
Maybe
I think that things were blushing. So again,
I guess so.
yeah. Let's see,
Let's see, it increases, I think.
I guess.
You should. Why aren't you? That'd be a very good excuse. That's not terrible. Like you picked the worst excuse.
I don't understand why, because you told me how it worked. Yeah, she literally told me how it worked. You told me how. Like, you explained it to me.
Where are you gonna go to school?
Oh wait, Basic actually is considered lower tech, but if I no, basic stays higher. Acidic
It's not basic, it's more basic. Or wait, so it's pH higher. Because if you just have lower
You guys make me think 16, no matter how many people it's in class, all freaking night. We got to do a reverse sacrifice.
Sounds like she's full of Don't want Saturday. We're gonna go.
It's 50%. What is this? Oh,
This out.
50%. Yeah.
We're gonna go.
I don't know. Honestly,
If you want to, but that sounds horrible. It's 50 degrees out, 50 degrees water, that sounds. You want to go.
Well, if the temperature outside is the same as the water,
So you get hypothermia twice as fast.
isn't it 40?
I don't know.
Well, you basically would be an ice sculpture. Not necessarily, but you'd just be dead.
It's actually 25 times faster.
I like how Steve Forbes are being
We'll just have a stopwatch of how quickly they
Are you gonna dress up after you get hypothermia?
do what you want. Do what you want. I would ask you.
like not even what? I wish it was find out
Yeah, that's good to get hypothermia.
I cheated a lot.
It's already up there.
This next quiz, dude, if I don't get it,
Okay.
someone's done.
Okay. So, I guess, we'll have to talk to Ricky if we'll be able to put them directly in the freezer when we get back. Or if we're gonna have to do it. That's true. Was our, I don't know, this day we'll probably have this feeling not good enough for him. Wait, 10 dollars. Yeah, that's not I already have like at least one good one. Like one actual good one that's like, it's like a whole dissertation about the Sailor Suit. It is. I used it as a textbook for a different class. I think it's like 300 pages.
That is much more you can.
I feel like of the topic, how fast to get to the environment, biocontamination and harmful effects of microplastics, especially as something higher up.
She's like,
The paper is behind the center.
But it's asking to write.
And then of course, I don't know if there's sight on it.
Yeah, that's what.
Because I think the next background bit on that is for like just but I don't feel like we actually sight
Yeah. The timelines question. You know, maybe I'll just have to be there.
Again. So, again, the moment in time of the pressure it's consistent.
Cool. I want to see that.
Oh, we're nine.
Oh, I think that's what I'm talking about.
No, we got 40% because the total time is 60%. Which the rest is 1 and 3. It's 3 of that too. It's like for me, I think right? It's $90. So that's why I'm thinking I'm saying yeah, she's like,
Yours is the lamest, okay? Very good. Only a little bit of
Would we be able to put this in?
No, yeah.
Yeah, bring it. No problem.
I like it. It's not, it's in the afternoon. I think it's like 12:30 or something like that.
He said we'd be at
It's not super far away. Did you know the majority of the world's biotech firms and pharmaceutical companies are all involved in Seattle?
You know what's sick about that? That wouldn't work. They don't have centralized
What's the world's largest research institution? There we go. They're all based here. NanoString's actually a really funny story. Why we have such a good relationship with them. I'm literally at a bar watching the Seahawks game, and I'm talking to some dude, and it turns out to be the owner of NanoString.
It's a bit different.
And I'm like, Doc, we're just having a conversation. I saw him like 3 drinks in. We're like, we should partner. Our institution. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. Hire my students, and that's how it happened. Yeah. So then, like, his person, the VP, gets in touch with me and Forrest. I don't know how you know Jeff, but he tells me I have to be introduced. And I'm like, that is awesome. It was literally because we were at a bar having a drink. So, network. I will not even emphasize how many times that has happened. Like, you just network, you're doing something, and the next thing you know, a project comes about, or you get a student hired somewhere. Yeah. Same situation. I was at an event, an art event. I'm not a person, but I was at an art event. And the head of Scribe America happened to be there. And I'm hanging out, we're talking about, oh yeah, I sent some students over to become Scribe America, and then we start talking, and they're like, oh, you're that person? I was like, yeah. I'm like, oh, we'll hire you anytime. And so now it's how this has literally turned into how we get so many students placed in here. It's just networking.
How do you go about students getting placed at these places? Like, is it through just field trips or?
Camping field trips, often I send out, like, you'll know certain announcements of jobs and stuff. When I send something out, typically with, like, NanoString, when they're hiring, they send it to me first. And they're like, we're going to give your students a week to apply, and then we'll publish it elsewhere. Yeah. I send it out to the class. I send out announcements all the time, like, here's jobs. And
Wait, really?
I think that you apply for Scribe America and they're asking you like, I'm in.
we have a good relationship. I mean,
We're like, it's weird.
they're like, you came from it because you failed. No, maybe you did. And I'm like, I was just like, I look at them like, never again. I'm like,
You're probably
you just don't know the right people.
You did so well.
And then, like, middle-aged.
They are currently planning your expulsion.
They're planning your extermination.
I will tell you this.
They're telling you your workplace.
So some of you did. We went to Bowen. Bowen hosted us for a tour and all this, like, to the college. That is because that Pat is the head VP of design of engineering development. So airplane design, like, he's the person in charge of flight. Like, the actual design of the plane is his charge. And so, like, we get, like, the VIP tours, like, they show you around in, like, fancy buses, they give you food, and they bring you in here. Totally different experience than you just go, like, on a tour. Like, and it's like, and then even one ran, probably my best buddy from high school I met up. And this is really lame.
There's an oxygen bar in town where you can pay to breathe air with higher than normal oxygen content. The owner claims it will improve your alertness and ability to function. Discuss with your group whether you think the statement is true or not. Explain below.
And, like, I played my bowling. We've been bowling for 20 years now.
Because we talked about
Start networking. Go back.
exercising.
See, this is actually part of the problem. We actually have a harder time networking.
Improve athleticism by
Golfing. I'm telling you. Yeah.
Oh, the question? I don't know. Okay,
But yet those networking opportunities, right? I mean, like, it really. Yes, they do. I'm not joking. Like, the amount of weird networking that goes on is actually, like, impressive. And connections. And the next thing you know, you're meeting with this person, who knows this person. And then you just start meeting friends. You know? And hey, this is not what it is. You can be the smartest person in the world if you don't talk to people.
You explained it to me.
But if you're motivated, you're driven, and you're smart, oh my God, every door you want. And take advantage of those connections. So your job is to take advantage of my connections. You make those connections, and then you become successful, and then you're now my connection. So then I get other people in. That's how this works, right? I have a lot of students who have been are doctors now. Guess when you say, hey, I want to go shadow a doctor, guess what I do? I call my friend who's a doctor and say, hey, you remember when I hooked you up? Now you hook this person up, right? So you become successful, then you remember me, and then I become your friend. And the cycle continues. Or you just get lucky and run into some asshole or something.
Yeah, go to bars.
Or
Maybe.
or you can go to the Middle Eastern restaurant that has oil money. Oil money, guys. Oil money. He'll cheat on you for oil money.
There's gonna be some problems. I got a big problem. You were from Marysville. Yeah. That is gonna be your biggest hang up.
Yeah.
You got some problems.
It's
Where are we
okay,
from?
that's like just like the
But,
one thing.
no, here, like right here. Yeah, that's also a problem for you. Like, that's gonna be. There's not a lot of rich people here that have oil money, like zero. You know?
Go to Texas.
Could.
How about maybe the one out here that goes?
We gotta think about this plan a little bit better.
Austin.
My dad went to college with the son of like an oil tycoon from like Saudi Arabia.
Uh-huh. My ex's dad is the VP of Exxon. Yeah. It was a very weird dynamic because I was super poor and she was super, super rich. And so like, we'd probably actually still be together. She went off to med school, so like separate because I was like, going to grad school and she went to California for medical school. And yeah, that was a weird dynamic.
Where did they live?
Vancouver, Canada. Yeah. Yeah, lots of that song.
Oh.
Yeah, but no, it was very weird. So like, I knew she was sort of wealthy. We met at UW, but I didn't quite figure it out. She was a tennis player at UW, so like, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like so.
Yeah. It's actually funny. Like, she was one of my best friends' friend, and Jasper was like, no, I did not ask her. I did not get on her name. She has something else. Jasper's still quite pissed at me. And so I'm like hanging out, and she's like, let's go to my dad's house for the weekend. And I was like, okay, cool. I didn't think anything of it. She drove like, it was a nice car. Like, it was like a Mercedes, but like, super nice. I didn't think anything of it. Get up there. Yeah. Huge, giant house. And so we got there. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. Everything's down, don't worry. How much do you eat there? Yeah. Greatest drinks of my life. It's like $50,000. And I'm like, hell. And then right here, her dad's like, oh yeah, I got a bonus. His bonus was $50 million. They didn't care. Money was completely, totally different, right? So Tara's, for her birthday, she like smokes it. So her parents bought her a new house. So if you've ever been to Whistler on like chair 2, you come down and you speed right down to the end of chair 2. That is her house. Yeah. And so we were up there all the time. Like,
Yeah, my instincts are really
great. She's a wonderful woman. She's now a doctor. Like, still friends. She's not necessarily. She's a health. But yeah, absolutely so much money. But the dynamic was so good because I had no money, like zero money, like poor, like product from Arlington. And then here you have,
Instead of starting off now we're here debating the shows.
right. And that's where so like even to have that, so the relationship with the work and
That's a big gap.
what did we have a lot of money? Yeah, absolutely. But it also was weird because like anytime we went anywhere, it's like it's their money, like it's not mine. Like I didn't feel like I felt weird, like. But she was like, gotta get over yourself. Like she didn't care. And she was a very down to earth person. Like you just look at her. But she was the person that advertisements and stuff like that. She was a champion text player, so they had her like on the walls and stuff. Now it starts to make sense because I guarantee your parents make millions and millions of dollars. Yeah.
And these are like,
Now it's actually.
and I remember it being like a huge thing. I don't know if it's still like a huge thing anymore.
Guilty all the time. That'd be weird. Right. Yeah, I don't think yeah.
I'm not. Impossible. It's impossible. You don't have a breath rate.
Also, you need a rest.
Yes, you need to look like.
But like it's like a tiny little bit, like your body's like, oh god, breathe. I'm pretty sure it's like
Because you're going to
like you actually get most breath out. Oh yeah.
How are you?
What's your two more?
All right.
Dude, I'm gonna come to the
Let's talk about this one for a second. What's going to happen? Same shape, but we're going to move to the right. Okay. Now, if you are a fetus, fetal hemoglobin is going to move to the left. All right. So this is going to have higher saturation. This is going to have lower saturation, lower affinity. So this is how you can direct. Sink versus source, right? The source of something, you sink it into it. This will be a sink. This then would be the source, mother, for instance. This is the source. This is the sink, would be the tissues. Okay? So, any questions on the worksheet? Number 9. So under some conditions, severe exercise can drive PO2s in the tissues down to 20 millimeters of mercury. How this changes your answer to 8? Well, so if we're going to reduce it down in the tissues, that increases the concentration gradient. The source becomes a higher potential than the tissue, so it's going to move more of it into the tissues. That's all we're doing. So your source is going to be the max. Your sink is where it's at. So the more the gradient, the faster it's going to move. Okay? So if you're exercising your muscles and you're heavily working out, and you're exercising, where's the majority of that oxygen going to go? To those tissues. Because that sink is going to be at a higher gradient than the rest. Okay? Any other questions? 10 and 15. At the summit of Mount Everest, well, this is the same thing. We're just applying a different principle. What happens to your source? It's decreased. So your tissues are at the same level, but your source is decreased. Therefore, the gradient is going to be less. Less oxygen is going to go into your body. So what happens at altitude? You get oxygen sickness. You don't have enough oxygen. Right? Gradient decreases. Oh, oxygen bars. Anybody go to an oxygen bar before? No, they used to be everywhere.
In Vegas?
They're in Vegas now. They used to be everywhere. Everett Mall used to have one. Dutch Mall used to have one. Oxygen bars used to be very, very common everywhere. You would get sniff flavored oxygen, and you'd get a high feeling, and then when you'd walk away, you would didn't feel so good. You feel hungover because your body was used to all that oxygen, and is now not getting it. If I were to increase the oxygen saturation in this room, what happens to performance? It would increase. Okay? Performance would. Why don't we do it? Excellent. So let's apply this same principle in reverse. You're poor. You live in a poor community. What do you think the ventilation in that room is going to be? It's going to be dog shit. It's going to be terrible. Okay? It's going to be bad ventilation. What's going to happen to the amount of carbon dioxide in the room?
Increase.
It's going to go up. The amount of oxygen is going to decrease. What do you think is going to happen to exam performance? Down. Exam performance goes down. They get funding pulled from them. This is the cycle of poverty. For no fault of their own, their performance is going to be limited based off the environment which they're in. Okay? Good news, these rooms were built with that in mind. Okay? Now, do you think that's true at your high school? No, especially if you go to Marysville, right? Run that data. I did it. Okay? The schools that in Marysville have been condemned, there are schools that were told to shut down. Okay? Marysville School District is going bankrupt. Okay? Of the schools that are due to be condemned, they have high or low exam performance?
Low exam performance.
Do you think it's the students? Do you think it's socioeconomics? Do you think it's the environment? What do you think it is? All of the above.
All of the above.
Right? If you really wanted to make a school perform really, really well, how are you going to do it? Ventilation. Let's just start with ventilation. Higher the ventilation, performance is going to go up. Well, you need more funding for more ventilation. You feed your students, you provide them exercise, you do these things, and performance will increase. You don't have the money. So, why do we have recess? Talk to church. Why do we have recess? We're deviating a lot.
I remember going to school and
I think recess exposes you to brand new fresh air out of all the CO2 filled classrooms.
Anybody know why recess exists? I love it. Totally factually wrong. Teachers' breaks has nothing to do with students. OSHA says that you have to have a certain number of breaks at certain time periods in the day of your work hour. Teachers need a break. It wasn't for the students. Recess was so that it was cheaper. Okay? I can't put you into a different classroom because that costs more money because I need more faculty, more teachers. But if I stick you outside with 2 staff watching 250 students, that's actually really cheap. It's economical.
Give them a whistle.
All right. Give them a whistle, tell them to make everybody do burpees or something, right? So, this is not necessarily for children. We have not designed our schools for children. Yes, recess is wonderful. Yes, it's a win-win, okay? Actually, there are certain countries who have mandated now 15 minutes recess per hour in the classroom. And guess what happens to their test scores and their curriculum? Everything goes up, okay? So, but do you think that costs more money? Yes. So this comes back down to the same principles, okay? And why, as we can tie this into, is we're going into nutrition, we're going into health. This has to do with health, right? You want to solve some of these problems. If you want to be a doctor, sorry, a lot of these are social, economic, these are systemic issues in our society. Yeah. Should become politicians, yes. But none of you are
Scientific
lawyers.
Scientific.
How many scientists are in Congress? There's a couple. For years there was one. He was an engineer from Cal Poly, and he was the only scientist in the Senate. And everybody listened to him. Now there's a handful of doctors and scientists. I mean, a handful. What? He was an engineer. Oh, I don't remember.
Does anybody listen to the science?
Oh, hell.
No. Science isn't really you guys.
Snake oil is the answer.
This is just a rise of
Dr. Oz is now in charge of shit. That should make you feel good. There are two different types of circulatory systems. There is a closed circulatory system and there is open circulatory system. Arthropoda is an example here. This is an open circulatory system. Open means that they do not connect together. That blood can flow into the abdominal cavity, into the tissues. Right? You have a closed circulatory system, meaning that your circulatory system does not exit the system. Okay? It does not go to the abdominal cavities. It does not flow freely. It goes from arteries to capillaries to veins back within the loop. Okay? To maximize surface area, to minimize volume, and to maximize diffusion, we enter in the capillaries, which has a huge amount of surface area, and the diameters are very small. Okay? Blood pressure was going to be the highest there. Osmotic pressure is going to be the lowest in the tissues. It's going to move into that direction. Source to sink. So all we're paying attention to is source to sink.
I picked the diameter of the capillaries is smaller than that of the arterioles and arteries.
I don't think it was that hard. I don't know if any of the rest of that's true. So I didn't click
I just realized I missed
All right. Somebody tell me why A is wrong. A is wrong. It is true, but it's wrong. The diameter is smaller. What would happen if diameter just decreased? The pressure should increase, but pressure goes down. So why? How many capillaries do you think you have?
Lots of capillaries.
Easily correct.
I was completely wrong.
So, imagine this. You have your garden hose, okay? If I just cap the top of the garden hose, what happens to the pressure? Goes up. But if you have a garden hose that feeds into lots of garden hoses in your garden, What happens to the pressure at each one of those hoses? It goes down. That's the exact
The
same
pressure is
principle.
distributed.
Okay, yeah, the pressure is distributed. It goes down.
Mhm.
All right. So we have a closed circulatory system. Closed circulatory systems are not consistent among all taxa. Okay, things have changed. They have evolved. I would like you to come up with a phylogeny based off of this. Yes, phylogeny.
Yay. Heck yes.
I know, I just remember we get worksheet where it does things like that.
I'm pretty sure the purple
Oh, maybe that has a sound.
I think the second one's next, and then the two on the end are pretty closely related.
But the third one.
Yes.
Like, well, not last, maybe just like on its own. I don't know.
Don't you
Yeah.
like track your highest
Oh, we have to draw it.
I don't know, because the
That's
beat is
what I
one,
do.
and the other two could be is two
I want to
separate.
connect these two. Okay, right here, right?
Yeah, so it's
Right, like those, and then maybe we go to.
Oh wait, this one middle right has the.
As far as I got. Did you?
And then those.
So just keep going. Yeah. Just keep going. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Are those two the most closely related to each other?
Yes?
Yeah, kind of. Well, these are basically the same, right? Those are the same. So we're looking at these, right? So those are very similar. Then this is a little bit further out, right? So we're going to be like that. Okay, next question.
Guys, I do a detail. I will figure this out.
10 seconds.
I will figure it out. I lied.
Blood enters into the heart in what? Vena cava to the right atria. Excellent.
Vena cava to the atria.
Atria receives blood.
Okay.
Ventricle pumps blood. So in the pulmonary circuit, we're going to what? The lungs. Excellent. So we're going from the right atria to the right ventricle to the lungs.
Okay.
If we go from the left atria, which receives blood from pulmonary veins, because we're coming back to the heart into the left atria, to the left ventricle, to the body through the aorta. Okay, so let's go through this so we understand. All right. We're going to start as a blood cell leaves the lungs. It's going to go into the pulmonary veins to the left atria. From the left atria to the left ventricle. From the left ventricle out to the aorta, to the body. goes to the capillaries, to your toe, goes back through the veins to receive by the vena cava. From the vena cava, it goes into the right from the right atria to the right ventricle. From the right ventricle to the pulmonary circuit, to the pulmonary arteries, to the capillaries of the lungs, back through the veins to the pulmonary veins, which enters into the right. The left atria, to the left ventricle, to the aorta, to your finger, to the capillaries of your finger, to the capillaries of to the veins, from the veins back to the
aorta,
atria, to the vena cava. Vena cava. So the best way to remember the vena cava is it is the cheerleader of the heart. So when you look at it, and you're never going to forget this, by the way. When you look at the how it lines up in the heart, it's the cheerleader vena cava. So it goes up and down, and it receives the blood. No one's ever going to. I've never lived that down. It's how I learned it. It's how you're going to learn it. You're never going to fucking forget that. No. I do it one time a year. That was it. All right, so the blood is received by the cheerleader of the heart, vena cava. It goes to the right atrium, to the right ventricle, to the pulmonary circuit, back to the left atria, to left ventricle, to the aorta, back around. All right? So blood cells are just zipping around your body in a continuous circuit.
So basically it goes this way and then
Yeah. Goes through. So this is the cheerleader to the atria, to the ventricle, to the pulmonary circuit, to the lungs, back to the pulmonary veins, to the atria, ventricle, artery, out.
When does blood come in through the superior vena cava, and when does it come in through the inferior?
When it comes by direction of the body. If blood's coming from the top, comes from the top. Comes from the bottom, comes from the bottom. Your aorta is right here, so your aorta runs up through from here down to your groin area where it splits into your legs, and it goes to your head. So if we wanted to take your blood pressure correctly, we would use a blood pressure cuff around your neck.
Why don't we?
We should. You only ever have to take it one time. It's fine. It'd be very accurate once. Yes.
Mainly because you're choking.
We got one. Okay. In lab, you're going to cut, if you haven't done it already, you're going to cut the heart in half. And when you open it up, you will see all the connective tissues. There's lots of tendons in there. There's also valves. Those valves, they're the semilunar and the lunar valves. They prevent backflow. Because the last thing you want to do is when that ventricle contracts is to push blood back into the atria. Because that's mixing of blood. It's going in the wrong direction. That is a heart murmur. Okay, heart murmurs are when you get the mixing of blood in the wrong direction. So typically today, if it's a minor heart murmur, it's not usually such a big deal, and you might even grow out of it. Self-repair itself. If not, you just have to repair it. You also notice that the actual heart itself is really big in tissue compared to the holes of the atria and the ventricles. The amount of volume is just, it needs a large contraction. It takes a lot of muscle strength to be able to do that contraction. Water itself is not compressible. So when you contract, it has to be able to push it through the system. That's a lot of viscosity, a lot of movement. You will also notice that there is a large amount of capillaries and on the heart. Those are powering the heart. Okay, the heart is a giant muscle. And so often they are very, very small. If you are to have a blood clot, where will those clots form? Talk to each other. Where do they form? They form in the veins typically.
Oh, they form in the veins.
And they become a problem in the capillaries. Because how big are capillaries?
One blood cell.
There we go. So if I block one of those capillaries, I remove blood flow to the heart. Because typically those capillaries are going to have problems. So you can get a blood clot anywhere in your body. So if you're on sitting a long time, you can get blood clots in your legs. That in itself is not the problem. The problem is when you get up and you move around, where does that blood clot go? To the heart and to the lungs typically. And when you get to the lungs, that's called a pulmonary embolism.
Pulmonary embolism.
When the blood clot goes to the heart, that's going to be a heart attack, myocardial infarction. Okay, so if you've ever, or if you know anybody who, majority of us in here may have a heart attack at some point in our lives. We're Americans, damn it. Okay? Heart attacks are blockages in the heart. When that occurs, the tissue becomes necrotic. It starts dying. Parts of your heart dies. Okay? The muscle becomes weaker. The heart's not able to do as much activity. It becomes a problem. How we fix blockages is we put stents in. Stents are wire mesh that opens up the capillaries. They're very, very, very tiny. We enter through your thigh. Okay? They enter through the groin. That's a large one direction back to the heart. So they'll stick a robotic tube basically up there. They'll remove some of the plaque or the clot, whatever it is, and they'll insert a stent so it'll open up. And so those muscles, because your arteries and your veins are muscles, aren't going to collapse because now that tissue is weakened. It's necrotic. So it's going to collapse down. So this is why you have to be very careful with heart attacks. If you get a clot in your brain, that is a stroke. Okay? All right. So when you look at tomorrow, you will see all that too. So you inhale O2. That is your source. We're going to go to the tissues. That's going to be our sink. So we enter. So let's look at an air molecule. The air molecule is going to enter into your lungs. It's going to go through the membrane into the capillaries, into the pulmonary circuit. It's going to bind to a red blood cell that's on its way back to the heart, to the pulmonary veins. It's going to go into the left atria, to the left ventricle, back out to the body, to the sink. Wherever that oxygen molecule is going to get donated, it's going to go through the membrane of that cell into another membrane, which is going to go into the mitochondria, which is going to have the lowest PO2. The lowest partial pressure of oxygen is the mitochondria. It's what's going to absorb that oxygen in the electron transport chain. What does that oxygen turn into?
Water.
Water. Okay? That oxygen is going to go into water. That blood cell is going to return back to the heart and do the cycle again. The carbon dioxide that is produced during the Krebs cycle, the 2 carbon dioxides in the Krebs per pyruvate plus the 1 in linkage, so 6 total carbon dioxides per glucose, is going to go into the water of the blood in carbonic acid, which is going to go through the pulmonary circuit, out, and come out of the membranes because the air is the sink. It has the lowest amount of CO2 in it. Okay? Where are we at? All right. This is one of those things you just kind of got to memorize, unfortunately. Dr.
I got low blood pressure, requires one-way valves to prevent the backflow of blood.
I had filled with blood.
I know, when he does that, he
Okay.
Where is the blood pressure the highest in your body? Which is the biggest artery is the aorta. So the blood pressure is the highest in your whole body in the aorta. That's why you want to measure right here, because that's the closest aorta to your heart. All right? So you can take the blood pressure home and cuff and do that. Kidding. All right. So we know this one's incorrect because it's the highest. Okay. Does any gas exchange happen in aortas? No. These are huge muscles, thick membranes. So B is incorrect. They expand and fill and coil. They are a muscle. So A is correct.
This is on the reading quiz.
But that's when it comes back to the heart rate. I feel like the heart rate pumps after it pumps out.
All right. What part of the heart is the largest and strongest? No, the heart. Those are arteries and veins that you guys just talked about. What's the largest part of the heart? The left ventricle. The left ventricle is the largest muscle. It's thick. It's a big muscle. It's going to contract that blood. It's going to pump it. And it's going to exit through the aorta. That's going to have the highest velocity. That's your initial hose. The aorta is going to have the highest velocity.
Oh, yeah.
So, question for you. Your blood pressure is the highest in the arteries, and it goes to the blood into your legs. Why doesn't all of your blood pool in your feet? Gravity. Should pool in your feet because of gravity, but why doesn't it? Contract. You have muscles through your body. Your arteries and veins are contracting and relaxing, allowing movement. You have other muscles, so if you don't use these muscles, what happens to your blood? It pools. Okay, so that's why when you're sitting in an airplane, you're going to contract, you're going to do exercises sitting in your seat. You're going to get up and walk around. So you don't pool, you don't clog, because that pooling can cause clots, which those clots can end up where? In your heart. That is a problem, especially women. Young women, if you are on birth control, you need to pay attention to this. Okay? Things can happen. Blood clots are a real thing in young women. Okay? So, I'm going to tell you a fun personal story. My ex. Yes, same person. Poor woman. She comes home one day and she says, "Man, my chest feels heavy. Doesn't feel right." I'm like, okay, well, let's take your blood pressure. Blood pressure is very elevated. She was a very, very tiny person, a very athletic, tiny person. And her blood pressure was like 180 over like 120. I'm like, ooh, shit, we're going to the hospital. We're going to get in the car. We're going to go nice and quickly. We get to the hospital. She's walking up. She's bubbly, and she's talking to them. They think nothing's wrong. And the triage person is like, okay, let's take your blood pressure. Probably nothing big deal. Takes her blood pressure. As he's taking the blood pressure, is pushing the emergency button over and over and over again. All right, what is wrong with her? She has a blood clot.
A blood clot.
Her blood clot has now entered into her lungs. Okay? This is a problem. Okay? No fault of her own. She was probably sitting a little too long today. She's on birth control. it's clotting, okay? So as she is walking in, this is the craziest scene I've ever seen in my life. They are literally stripping her naked as she's walking into the room, and they're putting her in a gurney to take her into a CT scan to do this. As they're doing that, they're injecting into blood thinners because they're figuring it out really quickly, okay? You want to pay attention. So if you feel heavy on your chest and you're a woman, what do? Take blood pressure. If your blood pressure is elevated, you go to the hospital. Nice and quickly. You don't wait. You don't sleep. You sleep, you die. Okay? That is a real thing.
You wait.
All right. Another story. A few years ago, there was a really big snowstorm, and a student at the University of Washington died. Okay? She is walking across a Drumheller Fountain area, and she is found on the ground, and it looks like she has slipped and fell. Okay? And so what do paramedics immediately do? Treat for head trauma. We are trained to look for horses, not zebras. So we look for head trauma. We treat for falling. Shit, she slipped and fell. We got to get this. This is a big deal. News media, student in critical condition, slips and falls at Drumheller Fountain. She didn't even slip and fall. She was on birth control. She had her roommates reported that she didn't feel great. Her chest was heavy. She was walking across campus. Her blood pressure elevated. And what happened?
She
had a stroke and fell down. Okay? So if she had done that in her house, we're taking off, and she's probably still alive. But because we're trained to look for the simplest explanation, which is most likely the correct one, in this case, unfortunately, she did die. UW, in fact, that day canceled classes. They had never canceled classes on snow days before. They're like, oh, hell no. Their student just died. Turns out the student died nothing because of the snow. Just bad luck. All right, so pay attention to those things. Those are really important. All right, today, I would love to see you guys this afternoon. If you want to come on the field trip, please do. We have plenty of space. Second, Saturday. All right. I am pulling out of the parking lot at 6:59. I do not care. All right, we are pulling out. So that means you are going to be here early. Whenever, get here early, okay? Come prepared. You're going to bring, so I sent out a list on sunglasses, hat, wear layered clothing. It's going to start out cool. It's going to get fairly warm. It's actually supposed to be a very pleasant day. Bring a rain jacket or windbreaker in case. Bring good shoes. We're going to be doing tide pooling and walking on beaches. Okay? You're also going to bring a bag lunch. Bring some water. I'll have some snacks and things with us as well. But and you're going to bring money for dinner, or bring a dinner with you, whatever you want to do. Our itinerary has been listed. Our biggest things: we cannot be late for the ferry. That is it. I get you to the ferry, we're good. We don't make it to the ferry, we're screwed. Understood? We're leaving on time.
Where are we meeting?
Outside this building. Okay? So have everything you need. If you need to bring something, bring it. You're an adult. You got this figured out. Also, on that note, we're to return on about the 8 p.m. ferry. If you are getting a ride home, or if we need a carpool, we can figure that out too. But if your parents are going to be picking you up, if somebody's going to pick you up, please let them know shit does happen. Every once in a while, it takes longer to get home than we expect. Okay? So, I expect us to be here about 9:30 probably, 9:30 and 10 o'clock at night. If it's 10:30, I don't want a parent yelling at me that we're late.
That's why I'm not going.
Oh, God, I know. So, the ferry broke down once while we were on it, okay? It took us an extra hour and a half to get home. I had a parent screaming at me, "I didn't you get it back here?" So I'm like, we're on a ferry, your child's an adult, and they